I am back. So we're on post-lunch. So is everyone tired? And we were saying maybe we needed to like dance or hide lottery tickets in here or something like that. And I see the whole Noro-Moseley team. And Allen Moseley just said they all better be in here. So just so y'all know. We started doing this a couple years ago. We started inducting companies into our Hall of Fame. So just so everyone understands the breadth of Venture Atlanta, we have 950 alumni companies. So you go back 18 years, there's a lot of incredible companies and people that have been a part of this organization. So last year we decided, you know what, how about we do 2 companies a year and one person who's made a significant impact on the organization. Well, truly, there's no one who has made more of an impact on Venture Atlanta than Allen Moseley, because he hired me. So, true story. So in 2007, I interviewed for this job. My friend, who's probably in here somewhere, Beth Worshel, worked at Noro-Moseley and connected me with the team. And I met with Tina Mantella and Ashish Mistry, and somehow landed this job, and honestly didn't think this is where I'd be 18 years later. But Allen was an incredible leader, but Allen obviously has done so much more than Venture Atlanta. But Allen joined Noro-Moseley Partners in 1998 and leads the firm's healthcare practice focused primarily in healthcare information technology and healthcare services. Over his 20-year-plus career at Noro-Moseley, Allen has invested in a number of sectors of the healthcare market. He currently sits on boards of Allervie Health, Caroloop, Elego Health Research, Medix Infusion, Pure Life Renal, and Upward Health. Allen is just an incredible part of this community. He's been the chair of TAG. He sits on so many boards, and he's just an incredible human. So I am just thrilled to induct him into the Venture Atlanta Hall of Fame. Please join me in congratulating Allen. God, these are heavy. Thank you. Thank you so much. So our next recipient is one of our incredible companies who pitched, I believe we were talking back in 2012. So Greg Benoit with QGenda. We were trying to remember where he pitched, maybe the aquarium, maybe the College Football Hall of Fame. But Greg Benoit is the CEO and visionary behind QGenda, the leading provider of healthcare workforce management software. Since its founding in 2006, QGenda has grown to over 700,000 physicians, nurses, and other healthcare providers at more than 4,500 customers spanning academic, medical centers, hospital health systems, national practice groups, and private practice groups. QGenda was sold to Hearst in August of 2024 for $2.5 billion from Francisco Partners and Iconic Growth. Greg also gave back just the way so many other entrepreneurs have, and in 2017, he opened the Tech Rise building next to Atlanta Tech Village to help foster the future of entrepreneurs. So let's congratulate Greg from QGenda. No. Okay. This is the wrong award, but just go with it. And I'm on a mic. Okay. Our last inductee for this year, he's on the stage a lot this year. We roped him in a lot. So, Marc Gorlin from Roadie is just a tremendous entrepreneur, an amazing friend to me. Years ago, we had lunch, and he said, I've got this new company, Roadie, and Ludacris is one of our investors. Okay, if I bring him to Venture Atlanta, and he'll just get on stage and we'll just hang out. And so of course I have selfies with Ludacris. This is the same year I had selfies with Mark Cuban and lots of other people. But Mark is just one of those people who has given so much back. He was inducted into the Technology Hall of Fame. Mark is the founder and CEO of crowdsourced delivery platform Roadie, which he launched in 2014. Roadie puts unused capacity in passenger vehicles to work by connecting people with items to send with drivers heading in the right direction. I will tell you all that Venture Atlanta, we've used Roadie every year. Actually, a couple years ago, we were having an issue, and I said, oh, funny story, I know the CEO. Let me call him right now and get things done. And Mark got it done for me pretty quick. Before launching Roadie, Mark co-founded and served as chairman of Kabbage, which provides working capital to small and medium-sized businesses. Kabbage was actually inducted into our Hall of Fame, our first Hall of Fame, and Catherine Petrella was on our stage. So please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Marc Gorlin. right, and without further ado, I'm going to turn this panel over to another wonderful friend and sponsor, Shea Taylor from JP Morgan. JP Morgan is one of our premier sponsors. They've been a great partner for several years now, and I know it's going to be a great conversation. Please welcome Shea Taylor.
How's everybody doing today? Amazing? Enjoying your Venture Atlanta time. I hope you are. I'm so happy to be hosting this panel with these three esteemed founders. And I think of all the folks that journeyed here today, but there's also a journey, which is the Venture Atlanta journey. And Allen, I can't think of anybody better to talk a little bit about how did Venture Atlanta get here? And you can give us a little bit of the history. Love to hear.
I don't know how much time you have, but I'm going to try to keep this short. But first of all, it's great being up here with two incredible entrepreneurs and success stories from Venture Atlanta. So congrats to you both. And thanks for the Noro-Moseley team, who are also a huge part of this story, too. Alan Tatel actually got people to return my phone calls back in 2007, which was helpful. But if everybody remembers the start of this, it's actually such a great Atlanta story, what Venture Atlanta is. And what it was three different groups that were all doing their own thing very successfully. Metro Atlanta Chamber, we had the Atlanta CEO Council, and we had the Technology Association of Georgia. All three great organizations, all three doing their own things. But we said, why are we all three doing some of the same things? Let's try to put these together. 1 + 1 + 1 should equal 6, not 3. I think today it's equal to 60. I'll talk about that in a minute because it's grown incredibly since we did this. But that was the origin of it. There were a lot of people back involved at that time with the original board, which included people like Tino Mantella, John Yates, Ashish Mistry, myself, David Calhoun was a part of it, David Hartnett was a part of it. So I look back at that time, and really all those people were so helpful in pulling this together. I think the second thing that was just incredible, going back through my emails. So I went back to my emails 2007, which was kind of fun. There are so many emails where I would send out a message to someone and say, hey, we're doing this. And every single time, it was literally within 2 minutes. We're in, how can I sponsor? And it says so much about Atlanta in terms of how people responded to this concept, how quickly they supported it and became a part of it. And by the way, I still have the original sponsor list from 2008. I'm not going to list every name. But a lot of these people are still sponsors today. So that was our first 2008 conference. A lot of great names on this. So that was huge, is having that quick support and very much an Atlanta story. And then lastly, I'd like to thank Allison. Beth Warshall, who was at Noro-Moseley at the time, introduced Allison to us. And she came out of the subprime industry, and I was like, all right, she's gonna get down and dirty on this thing. She's gonna come to work. She's gonna get after it. And she did. And you look back now over the last 17, 18 years, and we have 10x'd, I believe, revenue for this event, which is just incredible. If all my deals were 10x, I probably wouldn't be here today. They're not. It would have been a great investment to make an investment in Venture Atlanta. And I was just very proud to be a part of that along with a lot of people here. So that's a very quick summary of how this came together and sort of the great success we've seen. And again, in the end, though, this was about helping young companies, young aspiring entrepreneurs who want to be these guys when they grow up one day, meet with investors and meet with the right contacts to help in their success. And I think the conference has done a phenomenal job with that.
Thank you, Allen. You know, you think about the journey and the founder journey, I can't think of a better question to talk about. One thing that's imminent is fundraising. And so this is a question just to all of you. When you think about pre-Series A or growth, well, Series B plus, what are some of the fundamentals in fundraising that you wish you would have known when you were starting your companies?
Well, Greg, you wouldn't take money from smart people like us and still create a $2.5 billion of value. So maybe you should answer that.
Y'all wouldn't give dumb people to money like me, money to people like me.
Yeah, it's interesting kind of looking back. We were so excited to be here, I think 2012, pitching. And through that process, we really learned that we were in a unique position to kind of keep grinding for 12, 24, 36 months, and then kind of revisit the drawing board on raising capital. So we were a little unique in the sense that our customers prepaid us an entire year in advance, and that really ended up being our venture capital. And every time we would go out and talk to investors, great investors like those on stage, they really gave us honest feedback, which was, look, we're happy to give you a Series A, a pre-series, invest in your company, $3 million, $5 million, whatever the number was. But they said, what are you going to do different with that? And for us, we had a implementation delivery problem, not really a cash problem. So the customers prepaying annually ended up being a unique aspect to our business that it ultimately was our venture capital.
That's awesome. I wish I had that problem. I mean, I think back through all of that, and I mean, you guys started here. I love hearing your story. I wish you could have gotten Tatel to call me back, but I tried. I think what I learned from doing it a bunch of times is some really like simple stuff. One is like when you're going out and you're pitching, don't burn your first pitches on your best investors. You kind of got to work into it and stretch out the muscle and get it right. And when you've got it right, at Kabbage we had this $100 challenge. You need to know the objections. And we would go into, I mean, we're probably Series B at the time. I'm like, look, I got $100 for anybody in this room, and we're out on all the Silicon Valley venture folks. If you ask a question that we have not heard, if you know your business well enough, you might not have the best answer for it, that's cool, but you should know all the objections that come up and get there. And the other one is just ask for the money. A lot of people don't actually do that. They go and they expect that these guys are magically going to give you money, but you've really got to get on it and ask. They're super simple stuff, but those are some of the things that up front I wish we had like done more, especially in some of the earlier rounds.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Greg, I'm going to come to you with this question. So your company brought an innovative healthcare workforce management system or software solution to over 1 million individuals practicing within the field of groups. What are some of the obstacles you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, part of our problem in solving our customers' problem was they were super skeptical that we could actually give them software to solve their complex problem. And I don't know if that's because they'd been burned in the past or just didn't believe us. And so one thing we did early on to reduce the friction of them trying the software, we did a 90-day try before you buy. And what that did, and they had to put a little bit of skin in the game. I think it was like $500, maybe $1,000. And then they started working with our folks to get their complexity into our software. And it took them 60, 90 days to go live. And then from going live, they had 90 days to use the software. The reality is, by this point, they've got a little bit of skin in the game. They've put a couple months of work into getting it to actually do what they want. And they had such hopes, dreams, and desires that the software would actually work. There was no chance they were going to churn in that 90 days. And did the software do everything they thought it would do? No way. But it did far more than what they were expecting, and there was no way they were going to go back to their manual process of Excel or paper or whatever it was. So that kind of reducing the friction, but making sure they have a little bit of skin in the game, that really helped us a lot.
It probably helped in the training and the implementation of getting folks used to
Totally.
using software. Let's go. So we talked a little bit about history, dynamics, working through different issues. Let's talk about hiring. Is there a difference when it comes to how you think about hiring to when you were a pre-Series A company or when you had already raised that Series A and gone on? And that's to the whole group.
I really think Series A and Series B, you want to hire figure-it-outers. You want to hire people that look at problems they haven't seen before and can absolutely run at them. Again, people that will run at problems. It's sort of like building a snowman. It's kind of easy to stick a hat on it and carrot in the nose at the end, but rolling those big snowballs up is really hard, and you hit with a lot of problems that you haven't anticipated or seen before. So figure-it-outers is a big one. And also, I mean, we tend to have a no-asshole policy, but I prefer to take the other side of that, which is hiring happy people makes for a much more pleasant workspace that is really hard in and of itself because you're doing something that some high 90s% of things don't work. So getting people with that sort of attitude, and that will feed into your culture, but that sort of tends to be one of the first steps that we saw.
That's really helpful. And, just kind of piggybacking on that a little bit, when I sat in this room, over a decade ago, I thought to myself, I've got the team. I've got the team that's going to take us for the next decade. And the reality is, looking back now, I know there's different people for different growth segments of the business. And that doesn't mean some of those folks aren't still with the organization today that were with us over a decade ago. It just means, I think for us, we have to constantly be looking at who's right for now, and then if later they're not right, it's not the end of the world. And so it gives you a chance to go find some other folks to take on the next growth segment of the business. But somebody once told me it's always okay to have sort of one project. So whether this is somebody that reports directly to you or somebody that you've just taken an interest in, it's always okay to have kind of one project. You don't want to have a team of projects that you're trying to up-level and trying to progress. It will ultimately distract you from the business. So you've got to get the right people, I think, and at the different growth segments of the business.
Yeah, and last point, since all of us were here, you were here certainly 10 years ago, remote work, being able to build a culture versus selecting sort of the right industry expertise or the right specific expertise that may not be where you are, and the challenges that come along with that, the opportunities that come along with that, that's obviously very different. There are a lot of younger people here. We are in person. It's hard for our CEOs. Our companies are clearly a blend. I would say, all in the office has not come back. I'm not sure it will ever come back because such specific expertise is required in these companies. But you have to be a part of the culture, and for a young person, show up when you can, right? I mean, you learn so much in person. You learn a lot in the halls, and that's not easy. It's not easy for you CEOs building companies in that environment, but that is clearly very different than when we were here 10, 15 years ago.
Excellent, thank you. Mark, as a serial founder, how do you decide which ideas are worth pursuing? Give us the rubric.
I don't know. I don't really go looking for them. They sort of find me, and I look for stuff in my regular life that just happens. I'm like, man, I wish there was a better way to do that. And normally they're really dumb. But occasionally something hits me that all of a sudden, you think about all the decks that you see from people that present their companies. How big is your addressable market? How many other people have that same problem that I ran into? So if you look at Kabbage, you look at Roadie, I've told the tile story 100 times, but how many other people that just didn't have tile had something else that had to get from one place to another and would replicate that story? And then it takes lots of twists and turns, but the North Star is similar. It's just the way you get there changes over time.
I'm pretty sure advice plays a pretty big role. So I'd like to know just from all of you, you can pretty much jump in, but what is a piece of advice you return to when you need or you're needing to give perspective?
It's easy to get negative around things and to stay optimistic. Like, our business is a business of optimism. You have to believe, right? And you have to believe you're going to work your way through things. You have to believe great entrepreneurs are going to find a way to create success. Our world's a hard world. What's the failure rate of early stage investing? Very high. The sort of success stories that you see on this stage, I can just tell you, in 28 years of doing this, they are really hard to find. And so, but you have to stay optimistic. You have to think about, what can I be doing today to push towards success, and just keep that mentality every day.
I totally agree with that. I think another thing that we really thought about early on, and even still to this day, is focus. And so there's going to be so many shiny objects. There's going to be so many people that say, hey, have you thought about using your software to go do this? At our company, people said, hey, have you ever thought about going outside of healthcare? And it makes sense in conversation, it makes sense on paper, but inside of our business, it would have diluted us massively. And so for me, I think, and for our whole team, we all just were rowing in the same direction with the same focus to go deep and vertical than wide and horizontal on a complex problem. And so I think it's good to stay focused and sometimes, you know, say that no word, you know, to whether it's a friend, a customer, whatever it may be.
And Mark,
Yeah, I got 3 quick hits. One, I mean, 2 of them are mine. One is just perfect is the enemy of done. It's never going to be right. Just get it out there, and then your customers will help you make it better. You have no idea what the perfect product is. That's why I loved your answer earlier about how they iterated with you. The woodpeckers inside the boat can do more damage than the storm outside. So make sure you get the right people in your company. Makes all the difference. And the last one was actually given to me by my mentor, Frank Blake, who was describing me, but I liked it. He was like, you basically got to worry everything to death and dream everything to life. You can't be negative, but you got to sweat the details at the same time.
Yeah. And Mark, I want to come back to you because we had a great conversation the other day about how founders are not just building a business for the sake of customers, but they're also building a business for people. Can you tell us a little bit about how does generosity factor in that equation?
Sure. So, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly maybe before. So when we sold Roadie, you know, there's a price and then there's a different price. But when it landed, me and my investors made a decision to vest out all of our employees 100%. And the question is, why are you doing this? Are you doing this to build like some great technology company? Are you doing it to get like tech famous? Are you doing it to build people's lives? Because that's really what you're doing, is building a lot of people's lives and careers, and that's the fun part about being in the office, as Allen was saying. Like, we've maintained that culture, and I've never thought I would be okay with the remote, but we are. But doing that, and when you make those decisions where people get more than they were promised, but probably less than they deserve for doing it, they pay off their houses, they pay off their school loans, they buy their first car, they buy their mama diamond earrings, all these things, real stories that happened within Roadie, because I was on the phone when we told everybody. And that really feels good. And honestly, when I think about, like, this is my 5th one, so when I think about doing another one again, it's not about like starting something and then, you know, getting some big hit off or whatever. It's just about feeling that feeling again.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, thank you for the discussion. And, you know, Mark and I share one more thing. He partnered with Ludacris for Roadie, and my family sold his house in Spicewood Lane when he moved down here from Chicago. So you're welcome, Mark. Happy that we were able to help you out. But you all, thanks for engaging us with this great panel. Thank you, and congratulations again to our Hall of Famers. And everybody have a great Venture Atlanta 2025.
Thank you guys for coming.